Oh, hello. It's me, Nick the Slick Johnson, joined by Jacob Snyder, the man who'll make your day brighter, Snyder.
Hello,
one and only.
hello.
So, Jake, what are we here to talk about today?
We are here to talk about Spider-Man 4, but specifically Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4.
Oh boy, yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Spectacular.
Actually, sans both of those. Just Spider-Man 4. Because this idea was reignited after Spider-Man No Way Home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the thought of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, like, still existing, still having, like, little Spider-Man adventures just out there, but we haven't seen any of them, you know, for what? When was the last Spider-Man 3? Was that 2007?
That was 2007, yeah.
So it's been 16 years as of 2023 right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the curiosity, right? Like the implication, what's been going on? Because we know they were going to make Spider-Man 4 with plans for the Vulture, I think, right?
Yeah, it was the Vulture, a version of Black Cat, and I think at the very least, the Lizard was in talks to make some sort of appearance or some sort of like extra appearance because he was in 2 and 3. Kirk Connors.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He wasn't even. Yeah, they didn't even like hints towards the lizard thing besides the missing arm.
I kind of like that though. I think it's interesting that
It was good setup potentially if they went with it.
yeah, and even if they didn't, it's like, well, he exists in some capacity. It's just, you know, they didn't like totally like take it there, which
Yeah.
it's a good way to do world building without necessarily doing sequel bait. Because like I said, he was in the second one, but they didn't tease him at all. Like he was always just kind of there in that somewhat mental.
He was just the teacher because that's how he starts out. So they were setting him up as the teacher.
Yeah.
And wasn't there also plans for Bruce Campbell to be like Mysterio, but he's like overweight or something?
Yeah, and in the storyboards for part 4, it was like this montage where Spider-Man is kind of he's saving everybody and da 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 da, and like he's stopping all the criminals. And one of them was Mysterio. And when they took the kind of bowl helmet off, it was just Bruce Campbell underneath. I don't know if he was supposed to be like necessarily overweight or if it was just him.
I don't know why I specifically remember someone saying like, yeah, he's just gonna be kind of like a dork. Like,
Yeah.
no one's taking him seriously. He's overweight.
Last shot of that overweight part, bro.
I don't know why that's specifically in my head.
He was kind of drawn like that in the storyboards, like as a bigger guy.
Okay.
But like no disrespect, but when I saw it, I was just like, it's weird. Like I didn't necessarily think anything of it, but it was like, well, yeah, he's not some like muscular dude.
No, and he's never really been depicted as such anyway. So
Yeah, not really. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's Bruce Campbell. Sorry, Bruce Campbell. No disrespect.
No disrespect, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, that was funny though.
Kind of disregarding that idea because that idea has been public or at least not secret for a while now, right? Because weren't they doing like press tours to talk about that movie up until its cancellation?
I think so, because Tobey Maguire, I remember, was like talking about the movie, like promoting it, and then a week later was when they either announced that version of it was canceled or that they were just going to do the Andrew Garfield one.
Oh, it's such a shame. That is such a shame. Say what you will about the Andrew Garfield Spectacular Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man movies. I would have much preferred another Tobey Maguire. Like, I don't dislike Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but Tobey Maguire's one, that's the OG.
That's Spider-Man to me, bro.
That's Spider-Man.
He was the one that kind of started it all.
At the very least for us, because that's the one we were born and raised with. That's like, in terms of James Bond, that's our Sean Connery for Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yes. And Tom Holland is like the Daniel Craig.
Yes.
The new kid on the block who's kind of like redefining Spider-Man on the big screen.
And he's cool too.
He is cool, and he's had some good movies.
All 3 of the Spider-Mans or Spider-Man, like they're all cool, but they're all cool for different reasons though. Like they all bring something different to the table.
Yeah. Tom Holland is like this light, energetic kid.
Yeah.
He's got that kid innocence to him. Andrew Garfield was kind of like the cool outcast guy who was kind of goofy, kind of socially awkward. Yeah. And Tobey Maguire, he was to me, he was the most heroic Spider-Man.
How so? Break it down.
Because we really saw and felt, or I guess I'll speak for myself. I really felt like every sacrifice he made. And it was just all emphasized and played up so well with like all the drama and like his personal life affecting his Spider-Man life. Like I really felt the weight of Spider-Man with the Tobey Maguire ones. And I can't really say that too much about the other two, or at least not to that same level.
You know what? No, that's a good point. Because with the Andrew Garfield one, like, yeah, there was some shit going on in his life, but it didn't feel like he had to make at least as many personal sacrifices as Tobey Maguire did. The main sacrifice he had to make was just, oh well, Gwen, I can't be with you anymore. But,
but he goes back on that.
They were together the whole movie, and then with the Tom Holland one, still I feel like not as many personal sacrifices, but there's only one real one that comes to mind, which was in No Way Home. But that's like a huge sacrifice to make, though. Like he had still like not as many, but the one that he did was just like, it was so fucking massive. So it's kind of like, holy shit.
And I guess, should we say it? Just a little spoiler warning, just to give context to what we're saying, or does that matter?
Yeah, let's give a spoiler warning just for those of you that haven't seen it yet.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of No Way Home, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has to make the decision to be basically erased from everyone's memory to save the multiverse. And he just starts out life on his own again, just kind of like diving headfirst into the Spider-Man persona, still embracing it, even though what it did to his life. Yes, that is a huge sacrifice. And I don't, let me think. I can't quite remember a similar sacrifice Tobey did on that level, but the thing with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is like every movie, some shit happens to him. Yeah,
and like you said, like you do feel it a lot more because it's happening much more often. With the Tom Holland one, it was the biggest one out of basically like all three of them combined. I feel like all three of their personal sacrifices combined.
I'd agree with that.
But it happened at the end of his third movie, and I don't remember if they are for sure making a fourth one or not. But it's like, if that is just the end of his story, then like, yeah, he did the biggest sacrifice, but we're not really gonna see the emotional effects that it would have on him. With the Tobey Maguire one, we saw that. We were seeing it a bunch of times in the first movie alone. And then like that first movie ended with the whole, like, this is my gift, my curse, I'm Spider-Man thing.
And the second movie, he quits being Spider-Man.
Yeah, because he's like, I can't take this shit no more. You feel me? But like the second one, it definitely doubled down on like, this is the cost of being Spider-Man. Like, being Spider-Man, when you're watching the movie, it's all cool and it's all entertaining, but this is the toll that it takes on him. And it fucked up his relationship with Mary Jane. It destroyed his friendship with Harry. Right. And it's like,
it was fucking with his education.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna fail you.
It fucked with his relationship to Aunt May.
Oh yeah, man.
That was heavy. I think that was in the third one, right? Where he tells her about. Was that in the second or third?
The second one, yeah.
That was, God, the second one just shits on him nonstop. And it's so good.
Yeah.
I love that second movie.
I don't like seeing people shat on, but when it's Spider-Man.
With all that being said, like, I view him as the most heroic, and I would love to see a fourth movie pick up where No Way Home kind of implied that where he was, like, so just following Tobey Maguire after he gets back to his own multiverse, his own universe, like, what would happen? Where is he at? Like, what kind of story would we tell with that,
I know the type of story I would tell, my boy. A little bit of context first. So, because we had talked about Mysterio a little bit. because he was gonna cameo in the original fourth one. Just in general, I don't like Mysterio from the comics. When they were showing him in the trailers for Far From Home, visually he looked cool, but I'm like, I hope they kind of do something with him to make him interesting. And they made him really, really cool to me. So I'm like, okay, bet. And there was just some other stuff throughout the movie, like he name dropped the whole Earth 616. He was like, I'm from Earth 833, and it was weird because in Doctor Strange, like they go to Earth 838. So people were like, if he's just a fake, how does he know about like Earth 616 and all these like Earth designations? And there was this theory that came out a while ago that said that he was having a dream that he was on Earth 838, like as his 838 variant. And so he just kind of remembered it. And when he said Earth 33, it was him misremembering the actual Earth 838 designation that this particular variant was from.
Like, okay, I definitely a theory. I don't know if I subscribe to that one. It's kind of convoluted, but I like it because I'm like, yeah, sure. They introduced the whole concept of like dream walking, and when you go to sleep and you dream, you're just seeing what one of your other multiversal lives would be like. And again, like because he was faking being from another aspect of the multiverse, it never sat well with me after having seen that movie. Like if he didn't actually know that the multiverse existed, why would he come up with that story? And why did he just happen to say this is 616 if he didn't actually know that? So when the theory came out, like, oh, he was basically just dream walking, he just picked up on some information from another one of his variants. It was like, okay, that's the explanation. I can roll with it. So with this hypothetical Spider-Man 4, I was thinking it would be cool if we brought him back. Oh, and also like in the comics, the main origin that I had heard about him was that he was like he was a visual effects supervisor or something like that, and that's how he's able to do all the illusions. And that's not too far off from Jake Gyllenhaal's person or his version of Mysterio in Far From Home. Yeah, because it wasn't necessarily like visual effects, but he was working with Tony Stark on visual like technologies, holographic technologies.
Yeah, the MCU definitely fixed Mysterio for me because as a kid, it's like. You can't just say like, oh, I work in the visual effects department, but you're outsmarting Spider-Man to such extremes.
You're a super villain.
Yeah, I couldn't buy that. Because it was like he was able to convince Spider-Man that dinosaurs were real and that Spider-Man himself had been like miniaturized. And I'm like, how would you even have time to set that up? Like you by yourself, you would need a crew. So and one of the things I was talking with you about was I think in one version of the comics, he was actually trained in like the mystic arts, and
yeah.
And so we know that in Spider-Man 2, some version of Doctor Strange exists because it was either J.K. Simmons or the Sam Raimi's brother's character.
I mean, I believe Sam Raimi's brother. He was saying they were trying to find a name for Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock. And he was like, Doctor Strange. And J.K. Simmons was like, I like it. It's taken.
Okay, it's taken. So, so I'm like, he has to exist in some capacity. So the idea that we came up with was basically in Spider-Man 4, the main villain is Mysterio, and it is the Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio, but it's the variant from that universe, and
more crew. No more visual effects, no more Tony Stark thing.
Maybe he did work in visual effects at some point, but
maybe that's how he was inspired. Maybe that's how he channels his magic, but it is magic.
Because it was like not a scientific, it was a psychological like rabbit hole. Like, man, like I do visual effects, but I really want them to be good, and I heard about this Doctor Strange guy. Let me go see what he's all about. And then he meets Doctor Strange, and then he learns about the mystic arts, and it was just kind of like a snowball effect from there. Like, okay, I can use this to make this better, and like blah blah blah. But at a certain point, he just kind of basically would become like drunk off of power. So then he becomes the whole Mysterio and blah blah blah. Except he's actually using magic. Maybe he's using some technology as well. But then the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, this is maybe not necessarily his last hurrah, but he's in his 40s, and it's like, oh man, I gotta.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
That would be interesting. Yeah, maybe
same
like
suit though, but
for sure.
Colors are faded a little bit.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like, it's maybe not his last hurrah, but like, because Mysterio, up until Far From Home, has not been like a serious threat, right? And even Far From Home, I don't know if I would call him a threat, but he did fuck up Peter Parker's life.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if this Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, like, this Mysterio is like, he's actually, this is like not Endgame as in Avengers Endgame level, but this is like,
it'd be Endgame like for Tobey Maguire's level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, this dude, he is not fucking around. Tobey up to this point hasn't really fought magic. And like, this is just all kinds of obstacles, trials, tribulations for him. Because
also with that, what you could also do is like, again, like he is older, and like with the you juxtapose him with Jake Gyllenhaal, who I don't know if they're the same age in real life, but
I think they're close.
You could like play it off as like Mysterio is also a younger villain. Like maybe he's early mid 30s, and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is like minimum 46.
Right.
So it's like, I kind of just don't have like the physical energy to deal with you, and you're just on a different level. And he had kind of, Tobey Maguire would have his own personal stuff going on. Like, he's kind of with Mary Jane. I would have it where...
Wasn't there a line in No Way Home where he was like, it's complicated between him and MJ?
Yes, I think they were still trying to make it work, but I don't think they got into any like specifics. So I would have it where at one point in the past, one point after Spider-Man 3, they were kind of dating a little bit. They were able to reconcile and work out all of those issues, but it took a long time, and it took a lot of like energy to do that. But they got together. Maybe they got married at some point, but because of his Spider-Man career, it's like, oh, we can't really make it work. So then they either got divorced or just separated. And at some point, to try to save the marriage and the relationship, they maybe decided to try to have a kid together. So they have a daughter, but it's like they're kind of closer now, and they both love their daughter, and everything with that is all good. But it's still like, I had to miss her birthday party because like the Vulture came through or something like that,
Would you have any implications, or would you go for the daughter having spider powers too?
No, not for this one. If there was a Spider-Man 5 with Tobey Maguire, I would for that one. But for this one, it's just, because also she's probably just like 3 or 4 years old or something like that. And Aunt May would know.
Aunt May is still alive.
Yeah, but like...
Only barely.
It's like, I don't think I have it in my heart to kill Aunt May.
Oh, at least that version of her. Like, the sweet old
her,
like granny Aunt May.
If this movie picks up and like she is dead, then I would have a line that basically said at some point before she died, like, I did tell her and she did know for at least a few months. Cause it's kind of weird to me. At a certain point, it's like you gotta tell her, bro. Like, she's your mom at that point. If I was Spider-Man, I would tell my mom. Probably not at first. If I like save the world or something like that, it's like, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of that guy. So yeah, here you go, mom. And then I would tell her, because now it's like, you don't have anything to worry about. You saw what I could do. You saw me fight Thanos. If it was like that. But it's like, I'm like, I feel like you got to tell her. Like, it's like in the second one, it seemed like she maybe kind of knew a little bit. And then in the third one, it seemed like they kind of were like, no, she doesn't know. And like, I don't like that. So Aunt May, dead or alive, would have at some point found out.
I don't know why, just that Aunt May, dead or alive. Spider-Man 5.
But no, she would know. The villain would be Mysterio, a younger, kind of more hip guy. Maybe not hip necessarily, but it's like younger, a little bit more energetic, kind of on the same energy as Far From Home. What's up?
Yeah, no, like going off of that kind of like disparity of age and like energy, it would be really interesting. Like if they go for let's say he is early 30s, right? Even if it is Jake Gyllenhaal and he's in his 40s, whatever.
Yeah.
It would be really interesting. Like, not only is there a big age difference, and not only has Spider-Man, been on the block for like over 20 years at this point. And so like he's well known, maybe his powers are well documented at this point. There's not many secrets he has left to hold against his enemies, or to give him an advantage against his enemies. So not only is there like, he's at a disadvantage there with surprises and just his age, but it would also be really interesting. Like, if this 30 something younger Mysterio, if he is Jake Gyllenhaal and he's like kind of fit again, like muscly Jake Gyllenhaal. So like physically he's at an advantage, but also if he's magic and his main source of fighting isn't even physical, like, so he doesn't even have to do anything. If he, like, all of his attacks are magic or like illusions, that would be really interesting. Like, he doesn't really have to try as hard as Spider-Man does. So like Spider-Man, he's giving it his all, but it's just like coming up short time and time again. That could be cool.
No, that would be dope. That would be flames. That would be really, really cool. Oh, and also Peter Parker at this point, because it is 20 years later, like you said, I wouldn't have him at the Daily Bugle anymore.
Yeah.
I would just have it where like he's a science teacher at the high school that he used to go to.
Oh, not even at like Kurt Connor's college, like his position. You would have it be his high school from the first movie.
I would, yeah, because also there was a Spider-Man comic that my brother, when I was a kid, he let me borrow it, and that's what Peter Parker was doing there. I think he was like mid to late 20s. He was a science teacher, and there was a kid there that was getting like picked on, and he was able to relate to the kid because like, I got picked on in science class too. Because also you can have it where he's a science teacher, he's at this high school, and there's like this little Black Hispanic kid that's getting picked on a lot.
Oh yeah.
Even if you don't fully go there with it, you could just introduce that element, right? And because obviously he would become Miles Morales at some point, but you could have where he sees him. He's always getting picked on, but he has like the best grades in the class. So, Peter, he's like, just as a teacher, as like a friend, he's trying to like look out for him, and they kind of, they develop a friendship and a mentorship and things like that. And in Spider-Man, like 5 or 6, Peter Parker would maybe get killed by like the Sinister Six or whatever, and then Miles would just kind of take up the mantle at that point. Because at some point between Spider-Man 4 and Spider-Man 6, he would have been bit. Like maybe he gets bit at like the end, towards like the second half of the 5th one, maybe.
Sure. That'd be interesting. Like, what if Miles is being picked on? He is usually the smartest one in class. Usually gets the best grades, and like Peter is noticing his grades are getting worse and worse. But he's looking at the tests, and kind of similar to Into the Spider-Verse, where like he's purposefully getting lower grades, and he's like, Miles, what's going on? I know you can do better than this. I know these answers. I know you know these answers. And Miles, he says something like, if I get lower grades, they don't pick on me as hard or something. And Peter has to teach him, don't be afraid to be who you are. Like, always do your best, right? And that that is like the first stepping stone for Peter to inspire Miles to become like a hero.
I'm with that. And to piggyback off of that, what if like with Miles, like they keep picking on me and like da, but also like, it's just kind of hard for me to focus on schoolwork. I have to help my mom out a lot. Lost my dad in the line of duty or something like that, like a month or 2 ago. So it's like, it's like I just have all these responsibilities, and like, it's stretching me too thin. Peter would, for Miles here, basically do what Tony Stark did for Peter in Civil War, where it's like, it's this young kid, and I can really relate to that. Like, I want to mentor you, and like I want to kind of, like
pseudo father figure almost.
Yeah. Like I want to help you out as much as I can in these instances, because I personally didn't really have someone like that for me. Like when my father figure died, it was just me and my aunt, and so like I had to navigate the whole world like essentially on my own, and like like I made it through, but I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, And also, like, I'm a father now, so like it is kind of like that paternal instinct. Like, let me just at least give you some pointers, kind of watch your back a little bit, and so then they build their mentorship, menteeship type relationship like that, and then like blah blah blah, and then like I said, that could lead into 5 and 6, and then when he becomes Spider-Man, when Miles does it, it's like this whole other trilogy, and then you got this cool Spider-Man franchise going alongside with like the MCU and whatever the fuck Sony's doing.
I wouldn't even call it a universe. I would just call it the Spider-Man franchise because it's the still
Rocky
linear
franchise, low key. Where it's like we started off with this guy, and then the younger generation kind of takes over after that. But
with Creed, and then the implication that Creed's daughter is gonna take over his mantle after he's done, which I hope they do.
That would be really cool.
That'd be very cool. But going back to like the story beats here. How would you, so we know Mysterio is the villain. We know he's actually magic. Maybe he trained under Doctor Strange. We know Peter Parker is 46. He's older and he's at just a big disadvantage, right? How would the story play out?
I think what you could do is the movie starts off and the first kind of like while the opening credits are playing or before they start playing, you basically are introduced to this version of the Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio. You see him maybe learning magic, doing stuff on movie sets, building his suit and like doing like all of that type of shit or whatever. And it's all like dark lighting and it's like, it's like supervillain type stuff, like blah, 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 blah. And then the suits are ready and he kind of like flies out or whatever, like leaves his lair, and then like Spider-Man 4. And then it's Tobey Maguire and it's like a montage of him, like saving everybody, like pulling the cat out of the tree, like stopping all these bank robberies, all these car chases, and even just like other villains are doing whatever. Like he just has like a lot, and like, it would be like a Saturday morning, and he's doing like all of this stuff. By 9:00 a.m., he stopped like 2 or 3 bank robberies and all the car chases. He's done like a lot, like like save people from burning buildings, like a lot, like on his own. And then he looks at his phone, and it's a text from Mary Jane, like, "Where are you? Oh shit." And then he has to like rush back home, get dressed, and da-da-da-da-da. And because it was his daughter's like birthday party or something, like, Peter, you're like 3 hours late or something like that. Just something crazy. It's like, okay, like I'm sorry. Like,
Peter,
blah, blah.
You missed the breakfast. Like the party's already started.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, bro, like what the fuck? And like also like, it would be kind of like that. And he would kind of not like super get into it, but he would, have a line like, okay, I'm sorry. It was like, it was like work, and
it was the usual. Yeah. Like it was worse than the usual or something.
Yeah, I saw 3 bank robberies this morning alone, and I would have it where it's like Mary Jane knows, like I know, I get it. I'm not mad at you for all of that, but it's like
you've got to be there for your daughter, though.
Yeah, like she doesn't really know who you are, and also like the subtext is like, and you have a secret identity, so it's like she like really doesn't even know who you are, man. She doesn't know who you are on like 2 different fronts. So that's
and how old would the daughter be at this point?
Not like 3 or 4.
Okay, pretty young.
Yeah.
I actually do kind of like going back just a little bit, piggybacking off of that like pre-title part where Mysterio is like suiting up. It could be cool if like literally this picks up right after he comes back from No Way Home. He crosses the multiverse again. It'd be like, what if it opens on Mysterio and he's like kind of like Scarlet Witch. He's meditating, kind of floating in the air. It's like that dark atmosphere. And he feels the multiverse like rip open. He feels it a couple times for, Green Goblin, for Doc Ock, for Sandman. And then he feels it in his time, like right now, and that's when Peter Parker, he crosses back over. And because he's he's Doctor Strange level, or at least he's Mystic Arts in this, he feels it, he knows where it is, but he's not sure like what he's feeling. So that'd be interesting if like that's what kind of makes him come out and like start to pursue Spider-Man, because he's chasing this magic trail, or this mystic trail. He feels something is wrong and he knows all these dark secrets, but he hasn't really felt this before. That's why he suits up. And then that's him leaving, right?
Okay. Oh no, that's dope. I like that.
Go going back to your idea, like he's late in the morning for his daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of pick up his daily Peter Parker life.
He's at the party and he's kind of saying hi to everybody. And he definitely, obviously he would have a scene with his daughter. He's like, hey, May, or like whatever her name is, like, I'm sorry, Jose, it was just, like work. But like, he's trying to like break it down to her as much as he can. Like, I'm super sorry. Like, I love you. And like, da-da-da. But she's really young. She loves her dad. So she's like, oh, it's no problem, Dad. It's whatever. Like, da-da-da. And we would basically pick up with him on Monday, essentially, going into work, and he's getting dressed, and that's when you find out, oh, he's a science teacher at the high school that he used to go to, and like Miles in his class, he sees him getting bullied, and at the end of class, he's like, hey, Miles, like before you head out, bro, like I just gotta talk to you, like da 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 da, and then Miles has the whole line like, I'm stretched really thin, I just have a lot of responsibilities right now, and he's just like a freshman in high school, so he's like young. You know what? He's a freshman in high school, but he skipped a grade or two. So he's like even a little bit younger. Like he's maybe like 12, 13. And that's also why they're all kind of picking on him too.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe good. Again, referencing into the Spider-Verse where like when he got bit, he had a big growth spurt. So maybe the movie starts out and he's just shorter than everyone else. Like obviously younger, maybe baby face. And that could be cool. Like when he does get bit, he like kind of gets up in height and stature and muscle.
You could have it where he gets bit sometime over summer vacation. So then like when he is taller, he can just say like, oh, it was a growth spurt. And that way like no one would really question it. It would just be like, dang, you got like really tall all of a sudden.
Yeah, and he's an outcast, so it's not like he'd be seeing many people over summer anyway.
Damn, that's tough.
Yeah, it could be cool. He's talking to Miles. I recognize you have a tough family situation. I can help you after class if you wanna meet me at my lab, or assuming he has a lab, because I think he would. It's Peter Parker. He doesn't have to make his webs. This is OG Tobey Maguire. He just makes them himself. I still like to think he has his own like little lab space that he's able to like hobble together,
Yeah, because he did in the comics.
Yeah, so like meet me at my lab. I'll help tutor you, or you can help me with my project because I see a lot of value in you in the same way that Kurt Connor saw a lot of value in Peter Parker when he was younger. And then like maybe after class, that's when Mysterio strikes, right? And I don't know if it would be better like Mysterio strikes and Peter isn't able to make it to the lab thing and, Miles is kind of blown off, or if Mysterio strikes, this Spider-Man has been Spider-Man for so long, he's still able to kind of make ends meet. So he is able to get out of the Mysterio thing, but like he's just a little late, and he and Miles, they get to working, and maybe Miles is a little bit like just angry. Like my uncle's been calling, I have to go, kind of implying, what's his villain name?
The Prowler.
The Prowler, implying that the Prowler like might make an appearance soon.
Yeah. Maybe not necessarily for part 4, but like for part 5. What if like he is kind of skipping class every now and then, and like, and Peter's kind of like, hey Miles, like you're skipping class, like what's going on? He's like, okay, relax, Mr. Parker. Like God, like he kind of like blows him off like that, and Peter's like, what the hell? Like when he leaves the class. One, like I've been your age before, so I already know that something's kind of like up, but it's also like I'm noticing like really weird things about you. Like, okay, no, you're not Mr. Parker's like, and like, but Peter like maybe saw him kind of try to open up a door and the doorknob was crushed or whatever. So then like Peter kind of he's like, hey, like stop all the bullshit. Like he comes in and maybe this like after class or before class, like during passing period or whatever. But Peter basically gets him like alone and he's like, listen, he's giving him the same exact speech that Uncle Ben gave him in the first one. He's like, you're changing, and I went through the exact same thing at your age. And even Miles is like, he's like, no, not exactly, but it's different now because he's like, no, literally exactly, bro. Like I'm Spider-Man. I could tell you're exhibiting Spider-Man type like abilities. Because at that point, I would for just have Peter just show him like I'm Spider-Man, like dead ass. When I'm trying to help you too, like I'm like really, really in it, man. And also, again, when I first got my powers, when I was roughly your age, I didn't have anyone to show me what's up. So now I'm going to show you what's up. You're not going to make any of the mistakes that I did, either with your powers or just with how you handle these situations in general. And he's kind of like, maybe there's like that hope too, like if you can be Spider-Man, then I don't have to be anymore. I can actually like raise my kid. I can be part of their life, and I can have that regular life that I've always like wanted. I'm gonna take my time. Like he's not just gonna drop everything on him like all at once.
Kid.
Yeah, like it's like I'm just gonna teach you the ropes, and you're gonna basically just kind of shadow me. You're gonna be my partner. Like you're gonna learn in the field and along the way, and then like once it gets to the point where either you surpass me or I'm just for whatever reason unable to, then you're the official Spider-Man of New York now. But it's like once we get there, I'm not training you right now hoping that I can retire next week.
You said this would be in like potentially part 5 or 6, whenever after he gets bit.
Yeah. So the movie like right after this.
Well, going back to part 4, it could be cool like if Miles somehow because I would like it if Miles just had a presence throughout the movie. Maybe like Harry Osborn status. He's not in the first movie where he isn't like who he's going to become yet. Harry eventually becomes the Hobgoblin in the third movie, but up until then he's just the friend, right? Like who over time becomes resentful. It'd be interesting then if part 4 Miles is introduced and he's not bit. There's no indication that he's going to be bit in this movie anytime soon. But Peter taking him under his wing and like teaching him all these things and like growing closer to him. It could be cool if Peter revisiting all of these teachings and all these things he remembers from Uncle Ben telling him, and kind of accepting fatherhood in a kind of way, because maybe he's been a father like technically up to this point with his own daughter,
only biologically.
Yeah, but like he hasn't really come to terms with what it means to be a dad with like to father a child. So it could be cool if like him spending all this time with Miles kind of brings out the best of him like once more, and that is how he's able to like overcome Mysterio. If he like once again, maybe not even in the way that the first 3 he kind of had to sacrifice or make the hard choice. Maybe this is just more so like he doesn't have to make the choice, but he's the one who is able to make the choice. And maybe it doesn't hurt him, or maybe it isn't a sacrifice this time around, but maybe it's just something that he kind of lost touch with his Spider-Man career.
I like that. I like that idea.
I don't know how it would end. I don't know, how he would beat Mysterio or what circumstance would be made that needs to be overcome.
I was thinking about it. The only way I could kind of picture him like defeating Mysterio is Mysterio would just kind of have to die at some point. But that's how all of those Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies ended. Green Goblin died. Doc Ock died. Sandman didn't die. He left, but he was kind of redeemed. So the villainous side of Sandman died. Venom died. Harry died.
So it would be cool to break the cycle. Maybe Mysterio doesn't die.
Yeah, maybe he has like a change of heart or something. Or maybe he just kind of like does some sacrifice. Like, you know what? I'm going to take away my ability to use magic and because I abused it. And I'm just going to live the rest of my days as this like normal guy. And I'm also going to leave.
Or he becomes this universe's Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, that reminds me. Because I was going to say at some point in Mysterio's story, this would either be at some point before the movie happened, before the movie picks up, it would be revealed that Mysterio killed his Doctor Strange. That was like a thought that I had, because I'm like, if Doctor Strange
usurped the throne or whatever, hypothetically,
because I'm like, you can't have Doctor Strange like in this universe and like not utilize them. So it's like he kind of,
especially for a magic threat.
Yeah, so he has to be dead or just away. But I feel like the revelation that Mysterio killed his Doctor Strange, it's like, oh man, that's some dark shit.
That would be cool if what Mysterio is wearing, he's wearing like Doctor Strange's cloak, And he has maybe Doctor Strange's, I don't even know what you call it, magical like trinkets, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But he still has, it's like mixed in with his own costume, right? So like visually it's implying what happened, but maybe it's not revealed until later on in the movie when people are starting to wonder like, where is Doctor Strange in this scenario?
Yeah, because I'm like, it seems like, that's the gist of it. You could make little references to the MCU, but it's like you would kind of
necessary.
They would be a little bit forced because even though he was in it, Tobey Maguire doesn't know shit about the MCU. He didn't know who the Avengers were. So you could have a line where it's like maybe like when Mysterio pops up and like when Doctor Strange is mentioned, maybe like Peter tries to find Doctor Strange and it's like, oh shit, like he's dead. Like I went to his sanctum I went to his headquarters and he wasn't there. Like it was just all Mysterio's shit.
Yeah. What if Mysterio in this universe, because in this universe, trained by Doctor Strange, and then he got too interested in the dark arts or whatever. He just kept going down this rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. What if he just killed all the other sorcerers in this universe? So he's the only one left, and he's kind of just. Maybe that's why he's so powerful. He has literally unlimited access. There is no yellow tape. There's no red tape for him that's stopping him from anything.
That'd be scary.
Exactly. That would be scary. That would be insane.
No, that'd be dope. Because I'm also like Spider-Man. He wouldn't even be able to call on anyone for help, really. Like even if it was I think the Peter from that other Earth mentioned this guy as Mysterio, but there's no way for me to like reach out to him. So it's really just like on my own. You just need one line for that.
It would be cool though, because there were plans to have Hugh Jackman Wolverine cameo in Spider-Man 1 or 2, I believe.
In the second one, I think.
It would be really cool. Like, I need help. And Disney owns Fox now. It would be really cool if like he calls out for help and the original X-Men characters.
Because that would be dope it would be like super dope, especially if Daredevil came through. If the Ben Affleck Daredevil came through, because but he couldn't, because he's Fox too. Well, no, but like Fox is owned by Disney, but also it's a different Daredevil. But you could just have where it's like, yeah, this is just the Daredevil for this Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, they just reference all of the old, like early 2000s Marvel Fox characters.
It would be dope if they could have them cameo in the movie in meaningful ways. It wouldn't just be, he was on, like it wouldn't be forced. It would like serve the story. And then, but this one is just Spider-Man 4. And then like, as you get into like 5 and 6 or whatever, like, if in this hypothetical reality where these movies were coming through, if like people were like really fucking with them, it's like, oh yeah, I think I do want to see Daredevil Part 2 with Ben Affleck. So then like they do that, and then they make the original Fantastic Four Part 3 with Djimon Hounsou as Black Panther, and they just kind of, it's like this adjacent kind of MCU, but it's with all the early 2000s characters while this Disney MCU is going. That would be kind of cool.
That would be cool, and that would, like, as confusing and potentially disastrous box office wise, like, I feel like they could cannibalize the sales of each other. Mm-hmm. Disregarding all of that, that could be really cool because it would just fit in with the whole theme and motif of the sacred timeline and the branching off paths. Mm-hmm. Like, this branching off path could be like the Fox Sony universe.
Yeah, can you imagine just a whole like cinematic universe like of some of the branches or whatever, or just like each, you could do like a random movie like, oh, this is just one of the branches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like super big movies, like just like, oh, these are just kind of special presentations on Disney Plus.
Yeah, what did they call Werewolf by Night special presentation? Yeah, just keep like
something like that. Yeah.
Have the like you said, just maybe make a column like a own little MCU genre of special presentations that, you know, may or may not affect anything, but this is what's happening with these characters at this time.
Yeah, because fuck them Disney Plus shows right now. The Marvel ones, low key. Hey, y'all. Yeah, I just finished Secret Invasion. Was not feeling it.
I have not finished Secret Invasion. I think the last Marvel show I saw was She-Hulk. I still need to see Miss Marvel. I still need to see Hawkeye.
Those were cool. They're like kind of soft, but
Both of them?
they were straight. Yeah, Hawkeye was kind of weak to me. I wasn't a fan of the whole like Christmas thing, and it was a different tone than I thought it was gonna be. Miss Marvel was pretty cool. It was fun, mostly at the beginning. Like I think the last like 1 or 2 episodes, it was like it's okay, it's straight. But
I think that's all I've got to say about Spider-Man 4 for today. How about you?
dang, I think you're right. I think so do I as well. I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for today's Headcanon. If you enjoyed the episode and if you're on YouTube, please leave a like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Headcanon can be found on any podcasting platforms out there. This has been Jacob Snyder, the man who will make your day brighter, Snyder, along with my great co-host,
Nick the Slick Johnson.
and we are signing out.